Oh yeah, Black Sun in the Hizzle, all for shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Um, we got Zanzi. What up, Zanzi?
Yo, I'm very good, very good, and this nice Sunday.
Yeah. So the title, we're actually going to do part two. I want to apologize for the title because Zanzi did remind me of the title, and uh, he Zanzi went and listened to all the bands like Paris and Public Enemy, and yeah, he's got some things to say. You know.
Well, I did add an opinion, or rather, the feeling I had while listening to that music that I wanted to share, and maybe some questions
Okay.
about some of that music that you might shed more light on.
Okay.
Um, so I tried to go about it chronologically,
Yeah.
all right, in time of release, and I started with um, uh, Fela Kuti, and
Yeah.
like I was telling you earlier, what I found very interesting and was the people who saw the show last Sunday might remember that one of the things we discussed was how the lyrics weren't that important in revolutionary music, right? That the
Right.
sound in itself, the rhythms, the frequencies of the music would energize and incent people towards the path of revolution in some extent and transmit that feeling. And whilst this is definitely something that holds true from for some of the music that I've listened to, I did get that feeling. As far as Fela Kuti goes, I did not.
Okay.
And it felt like I've said earlier, also more like the kind of music that you'd hear into as a score of a 70s exploitation film. And well, now you're on the phone, and that's the point where I would come with a question for you. But I'll move past it and come back to it when you're back. Um, the first song I listened to was "Water No Get Enemy," and what I felt, well, well, I first tried to listen to it just by the song, and at first for the the six first minutes of this song, it's pretty much just instrumental music, right? So at that point, I was like, okay, so is there going to be any lyrics, or is it just going to be instrumental music, which is very nice music, but again, I didn't see the revolutionary aspect of it. And now that you're back, maybe I can ask this question. So, is there any aspect of this Afrobeat music that holds a revolutionary sentiment that maybe I'm blind to because of cultural differences, or in that time maybe the frequency wasn't as inciting towards revolution as in later music?
Well, I think what happened as far as Fela Kuti, I think you said you only listened to three songs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the best way to do this is look at a documentary, and then
Okay.
there are specific songs I should have sent you to, like
Mm.
Zombie. Did you listen to the song Zombie?
Yeah, I did listen to Zombie.
Let me see what other songs because he has so many. Um, did you listen to Unknown Soldier?
I did not. It was the fourth one I was going to, but I switched artists just before clicking on that one. I should have clicked on that one, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you know what? I should have just gave you a specific list of songs because later on, Fela became more commercialized, and so I think they're playing more of his radio friendly stuff, which
Oh,
is
you okay? So you're saying
yeah,
later on because from what I understood, Water Don't Get Enemy was in the 1970,
yeah,
Zombie 1973, and
yeah,
the last one I've listened to, which I felt had a more directly stated revolutionary sense to it, was Beast of No Nation from 1986. one of the latest one, right?
Yeah, that's
So
yeah, that's the more commercial one right there.
that's the
Actually,
more commercial one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's actually more commercial, but because they made a controversial movie that followed, that inspired it. The movie was actually more intense than the actual song. But Beats of No
Okay.
Nations, the movie is actually pretty good. But that
That's from
actually is his more
2015, that movie though, right? And they make no
yeah.
reference to Fela Kuti in it. It's in Liberia, not Nigeria.
Right, right. Well, Fela Kuti was just talking about just Africa in general.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In general. So that could apply to Liberia, it could apply to Nigeria, it could apply to Mozambique, it could apply to anywhere where the Congo, hell, the Congo.
He did
Um,
speak a lot of child soldiers, I guess, and that
yeah,
movie is
yeah,
about child soldiers.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, um, like I said, I should have left a specific list because his remember he goes through what the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. So that's 4 decades of music. And then when I want to say during the hey, and Yame, shout out to you. I want to say during the after they did World Aid is when he became more mainstream, and then the music, and then he switched. He he got new members in the band also, so that kind of I think that kind of switched the whole political. Once he brought attention to what was going on in Nigeria, things kind of shifted, and then I guess his music became more tamed because I don't know. I don't
So,
want
in what year was World Aid?
1984. That's the one with
84.
Black.
So
Yeah.
that's before he went to prison.
Um.
Because the song "Beast of No Nation" is a song he wrote and released right after coming out in prison in '86. So I guess if he was
Okay.
on World Aid, that must have been before he went. He went to prison to some kind of trumped up money charge, from what I can
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
tax
Yeah. Some
things.
type.
But
Yeah. Some
yeah.
type of money something. And so then when I had to look. Like I said, that's why when you want to follow just the documentary, kind of just puts the timelines of all these
Mm.
events and
I'll definitely watch that
music.
documentary. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be helpful indeed. But so
Yeah.
what I found interesting in Water No Get Enemy, of the three songs I've listened, is the only one I felt I did not quite understand the sense of it. Right? He's speaking a lot of how water seems to be that one thing that you can't criticize because everything depends on it.
Yeah.
And there's two reference to black power that I did not understand, right? In that song, that's the only song that references black power directly in words saying black power.
Right.
But I they were in relation as to how it seems to be a negative way to represent them, and it's hard for me to express it because, like I've said, it it, it this song was very few, very scarce in lyrics, in words.
Yeah.
Half of those words were in a language I don't speak, so it was a little bit harder to make
Yeah,
sense
he
of it.
does that a lot. He'll
Yeah,
go in and out of English, and he'll go into his, more I forgot what language they call that, but he'll go in and out of it without even it's just like, yeah, you bilingual, Zanzi. You know how people and I don't even think a lot of people realize they're doing it. Like I know a lot of my Mexican brothers down here, they'll be like talking in English and then they'll say something, a phrase in Spanish, and then come back to English without
yeah, yeah.
even thinking about it, And I didn't think that's what he did in his songs. He would sing in English and then start just without even thinking about it, singing another language and then come back to English. And I think that's just it's just a human thing that a lot of bilingual people
Oh
do.
no, that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
It's just that I felt some of the sense of this song was definitely in those and maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe all he was doing was saying something in this Nigerian dialect and then saying the exact same thing in English, right? Because that was the format: one line in this language, one line in English, one line in this language, one line in English.
I mean,
So
that's one way to
but
look at it too, because I don't, like I said, I don't speak his dialects. I wouldn't know
yeah,
unless
but
I got, yeah,
the so I was maybe asking if you had more experience with that song and the sense of that song, but Zombie, one of those that you recommended, this one had a very clear message. I think a very
yeah,
clear. It was pointing out, right, soldiers are zombies,
yeah,
but not only that, the way the way citizens also act by
yeah,
conforming to society, what society asks of you makes you also a zombie, right?
right,
And so that's interesting because even Beast of No Nation, right,
okay,
in which he addresses that people were expecting something from him, right? When he came out of prison, they were expecting a message, they were expecting a statement from him,
right,
but that's not what he delivered, right? So they were expecting him to talk about his prison experience, to say how prison was an oppressive system.
okay,
But what he had to say, right, was that no, once you're in prison, you realize, right, there's this thing they call the outside world and the inside world,
yeah,
and the outside world is the crazy world because all the thief, all the politicians, all the oppressors, they're all on the outside world. They're out in this
right,
crazy world, right?
right,
So
yeah,
that he was denouncing society and the citizens that take part in this society while
okay,
coming out of prison. Well, people were expecting him to criticize prison, and from those three songs, and maybe there's songs that you can point me to that have a different sounds to them, but what I felt is that you weren't as much inciting people to revolution by pointing him towards action as denouncing the inconsistencies and injustices that he saw in society, right?
right,
His songs focused more on that, right? Talking about the plight, talking about the victims, talking about the systems that leads to those injustices.
right.
And that's a very, very stark contrast to the two other artists we're going to talk about. But are there any other songs of Fela Kuti that are more geared towards action?
Yeah, there are, as a matter of fact. Let me pull up because I actually have a list, and I'll
Hmm.
pull it up, and then therefore I can.
Well, if there's copyrights, right? I was about to say if you feel like you can play them, but I don't think YouTube allows for that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, YouTube. They so funny about copyrights. So what I was
Mhm.
going to do is I can give you the, yeah, because the copyrights are so strict on YouTube, man. I would
Yeah,
love to.
I'll take note of them
Yeah,
and watch them
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah. Trust me, I would love to play them. I would love to play them, but Google, they're really funny. They're really really funny. So I was going to pull up the list because I actually have a list because during my debate I wanted people to go specifically to what I felt. And it's funny because Beasts of No Nations is a later song, but I wanted to specifically show um the specific guns that actually got him locked up a couple of
Oh,
times and got him beat. Yeah, he was, locked up and beat for these songs. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna do a share screen as soon as I find the list. Damn, I didn't realize I had so many damn slides on this damn debate, man. Jeez. Okay, so I'm now, and it looks like, did I put the songs Fail of Life? Wait a minute. Um, why is it I can't find the list of the songs now? Time perspective, okay, and then Zombie. You've already heard that one. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna do a screen share now,
all right.
and uh, oh, hey, Mellow Cap. Oh, we got, oh, Twin. Hey, Deacon, hey everybody, hey everybody. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Okay, so we're gonna do a share screen, and I'm gonna share the window this time, and then share, and then boom. Do you see the screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
observation is no crime.
Yeah. Teacher, don't teach me no nonsense. That's a good one. Let's go back a little bit further. Okay, white black men they suffer. That's a good one. Colonial mentality. That's definitely a good one. Unnecessary begging. That's a good one. Vagabond in power. That's a good one. Original sufferhead. That's a good one. So these are more your political, like really strong, strong political. I mean, not saying the rest of them aren't, but these are really, really, really. Uh
And that's interesting, right?
huh.
Because except except for yellow fever,
Uh huh.
none of those were those that YouTube recommended while looking
Oh,
for
don't go by
Fedaki.
what YouTube recommend. Oh
That,
no.
no, 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 but that's interesting, right? Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not those I found first while looking,
Right.
right?
Of course, of
So
course. Yeah.
I'm very interested in going and looking specifically for those and seeing the differences in
Yeah.
the feeling, the insight. All right, all right.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Calicuta Republic. This is a very, very, very good song. And
Hmm.
it talks about actually getting revenge because
Okay.
they threw his mother from the window. So yeah, he wanted revenge for that. And so he wrote it in the song. So yeah, Calicuta Republic Raid. I think the song was called what is the song? Wait, okay, we got uh wait a minute. Blind country, music and second slavery, football government. This is real, real early stuff. Confusion, water to get no enemy, zombie. You've heard that one. No agreement is a good one. Uh,
Mhm.
sorrow, tears, and blood. That is a good one. Yeah, yeah. Shuffering and smiling. That's a good one. Yeah, these are really. Yeah, these are. Yeah, it's funny how YouTube try to. That's really funny how they deterred you away. Oh, ITT, International TT, that's a good one. Authority stealing is a good one. A no soldier, that one calls for violence right there. Coffin for head of state. They killed his mom, and so he marched up and put his mom's coffin in front of the state building and said, "Hey, you killed her, you take her." Army arrangement, that's a good one. Confusion break bone, that's a good one. So yeah, I guess you didn't get none of these on the searches, did you?
I did get a coffin for Head of State that I've seen, but I didn't click on because I was already 40 minutes into his songs.
Okay.
And yeah, Beast of Donation I did get and I listened to.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
one's yeah, yeah.
most of those were not in the search that I got. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
I searched specifically for Fela Kuti revolutionary songs too, so that's
yeah,
interesting.
man. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's really funny.
And that when I did that, that's when I got Unknown Soldier, Coffin from Outer State, and Beast of No Nations. And since it was
Right,
26-minute long, I went to that one because I was very interested into what can he say for 26 minutes, right? But
right.
and that was
Um,
very interesting.
well, like I said, because it's Afrobeat. Afrobeat is like a build up. Because remember, they're still doing Afrobeat is really jazz.
I did notice that
Jazzy.
there was
Yeah,
always a big instrumental part
yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, remember, this is still Africa coming into its embracing jazz. Like jazz was the big thing, even in England. Uh, England, Africa, Europe, jazz was like the thing. Jazz was really big in the 70s. And that's why you hear a lot of like if you listen,
Oh,
yeah, that was the big thing. And so African jazz, which is Afrobeat, became a real distinct sound. And then later on in the 90s, when they were making like uh Beats of No Nations, movies about Idi Amin, they would play Afrobeat in the background to give the feel to it because it could be a revolutionary feel. It could be the music. It's a real. you have to when you watch certain movies and listen to the music, you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. But yeah, these right here that I got listed are definitely um tracks that I would recommend. Um, let's
So
see.
it's very nice that you associate that with, because I was asking, if, is there a cultural aspect of it that I'm missing, right? And
Mhm.
as much as I think I've watched snippets. I've seen Shaft when I was younger, but I think that's the
Right.
only blaxploitation movie I've seen, right? And that's
Okay.
why I was able to make that link in the
Yeah.
music. But what have you said right now is that when you see some movies, right, and you remember those movies through this music, so that might be the cultural part I'm missing. That this why I don't have this revolutionary feeling, because I don't have those scenes from those movies in my head that this
Yeah, I
music
think
calls me back to, right? So
that would
that
definitely play a big part. Watch The Last King of Scotland.
the last
That
King of Scotland.
Yeah, The
Uh,
Last King of Scotland. That had a very be yeah, Beast of No Nations and Last King of Scotland. Those two movies right there. If you don't feel it, you're gonna feel it because some of the scenes are so intense. Last King of Scotland is about Idi Amin, and then Beast of No Nations is about the Liberian. Well, you can put it anywhere in Africa. You could put it in either the Liberian Revolution. Yeah, it basically the Congo talks about child soldiers. Little
mm,
kids growing up. Yeah, see Yanga. Oh, Yanga knows, man, because I introduced him to Beast of No Nations. He's like, oh yeah, Black Son. This is the old movie. This is the old type of movie. I can tell. I said, oh yeah, yeah, this is my shit right here. And needless to say, him and his when their girlfriend they seen that movie, they were just like, they were. I've never seen Yanga like that. Yanga was like, whoa. And then there was a scene where they had this guy based on a real character in Liberia called General Butt Naked. He was going around, he was naked, and he was like eating people, cutting people
yeah.
up. The minute Yanga saw him, he's like, "That's General Butt Naked." I said, "Oh yeah,
I've heard of it, but I think I've seen Beast of No Nations back when
okay,
it came out in 2003. I'm not sure, because I remember seeing a movie about child soldiers in Africa. So maybe if you've got a better memory of it than me, is this the movie in which there's those ghosts, quote unquote, right? Basically, people at some point that are all like ashy white, moving around in a mist, and it's unclear as if it's a vision, real spirits, or just people affected by the war. But the kid soldier, after having been drugged or taking some kind of a drug during their training, they're sent
uh,
out in the woods, and they see that, right, and it marks them. So I'm not sure if that's a different movie about war, child soldiers, or if it's that movie that I've seen. Because when I've looked at pictures of the movie Beast of No Nations
uh,
during my research, it felt like it was it was stills of that movie. So I guess I'm gonna have to rewatch it, and maybe I'll be able to figure out if that's the movie I saw back in 2015,
it
or if it's something else.
probably was, but I mean, they had so many child soldier movies based in Africa. But I mean,
Mm,
I'm not, Yang, he's going to be on a little bit. Maybe he can remind me because I watched that movie, and every time I watch it, it'd be something new. It'd be
yeah. All
something
right.
like I didn't see that part. It was a part in the movie where I didn't notice until okay, Yanga said General Butt Naked never got hit leading the charge with machine gun. Yanga's stupid. Yanga's retarded. Yanga's retarded. But he's telling the truth though.
Yeah. I mean, it's fact.
Hey, some people, and it's funny because some people can say that was Vadum. But hey, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, the dude going there. I mean, this dude just running, everything hanging out, never got shot. Never got shot, man.
Well, his whole point was that I think they were protected, so they could do
Yeah,
that because they were invulnerable, right?
yeah,
So.
yeah. They went. They did this ritual, and yeah, they it's part of the African spirituality. They would bless them, and they would
Uh
just
huh.
run in there, and they felt protected, and yeah, they didn't get shot. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean,
Shit is working. That's the important part.
yeah, but who's to say the other African side wasn't practicing their spirituality? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, in war, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Somebody's gonna get shot. Somebody's gonna be doing the shooting. So I don't know. But seeing a butt naked man going, that would kind of, I guess, get your attention, and boom, now you're dead because you didn't see this.
Psychological warfare right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, psychological warfare. Yeah, but yeah, they said when General Butt Naked came, man, that you knew it was trouble. So people, I think they got psyched out by just seeing this naked man running down the street with a machine gun. So I guess, yeah, it's just, but yeah, man, I remember when I showed Yanga that movie, he's like, wait, that's General Butt Naked. I said, oh, yeah, I said, I didn't even think about that. I just saw a crazy man with a machine gun. I didn't even think about General Butt Naked. I was like, oh yeah. And yeah. And the whole time, Yang and him and his girlfriend are just cringing during the whole movie, man, because they got really into the characters. It was two main characters, and one of the characters, he was deaf, he was mute, but his name was Stryker. And I remember, I don't want to spoil the movie, man. Go see, you might
Yeah,
want to
no,
you
I'll
might want to
watch
watch the movie, man. But yeah, Stryker. I forgot. In fact, I forgot the main character's name because people were so attached to Stryker because Stryker didn't talk. Stryker
it.
be like with his gun. The whole movie he didn't say anything, but
Stole the scenes it
yeah,
were
he
in
stole the
without even
scenes.
saying a word.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stryker, because Stryker, when the main character faced this army, Stryker became his best friend because they were the same age. And I forgot. Oh, there was a scene in the movie. Yeah, to basically he was telling the little child soldier, man, this is the people that killed your dad, because in the beginning of the movie they show where these, I guess, UN people come in and they shoot up basically his dad, his family. And so the rebels are like, yo, man, these are one of the guys that killed your dad, kill him. And because he's a young kid with a machete, he's hesitant. And then I'm just gonna spoil it for you, man. Stryker just comes in, and then they just both, it just, yeah, and that at that point they became best friends. But yeah, they had to, Stryker kind of pushed, had to show him, yo, this, I mean, he was hesitant. He's like, the guy's like, kill him, cut him. He's the guy that killed your dad, kill him. And the dude, he's a little child. He's like, and he's, he got this big old machete in his head. He doesn't know what to do. And Stryker just starts. And then once Stryker strikes him, then I guess he snaps at him and they just, and then the frame shot was just so brilliant, man. You just see these two kids with these machetes. I'm like, God damn, that's some top notch filming right there, man. So yeah, that's one of the definitely great movies out there.
you know, I've, filmmaking. I think it involves. So this movie, it was made in Africa. It was made in
Yeah.
America. It was made well in
I want
Africa.
to say
Or
Africa. Yeah, I think it was
Africa.
made in
So
Africa.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the different
Well,
regulations for filmmaking are in Africa, but at least in America and in Europe, dealing with heavy scenes like that involving kids
yeah.
is difficult because you have
Oh,
to work
absolutely.
around a lot of things, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know if those same regulations apply wherever this film has been filmed, but
that's a good
um,
point.
n- already getting good acting from kids is hard
Right.
enough.
That's right. Yeah.
Doing it with those restrictions in place is even harder, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the movie. I'm definitely gonna watch it, but I can understand how those scenes with kids might have been the one that are more striking to some extent because not only are they the ones that are technically harder to do, but they are the ones that are representing also the most emotionally wrenching part of all those stories most of the time, right?
Right.
So
Right. And being that they're child soldiers, they showed a lot of, and like, saying, when you got child soldiers, there's consequence of them children getting killed, of course. And then there's some other scenes that I'm not going to mention that are equally as disturbing, but, Yanga knows what I'm talking about. So watch the movie and then we can definitely do a recap on that because it's intense. It's one of my favorite movies, man. Definitely, like Yango said, this is your kind of movie. Oh, another, since we're mentioning movies, another powerful movie, it's not even a war movie, Punishment Park. Old school
Punishment
movie.
Park,
Yeah, Punishment Park. You want to see that movie too. It's
right?
intense. Yeah, Punishment Park. That is an intense movie. Um, I think Yanga made a quote, man, and it tickled the shit out of me. He said, "You know you're in trouble when you got Colonel Sanders on the tribunal. Once you see that movie, you're gonna start laughing because you're gonna see exactly what is gonna hit you once you see that movie." But he said, "Yeah, once you
Well, I think I already understand what it means, right? If a black man is getting tried and you've got Colonel Sanders or Colonel Sanders looking motherfucker on the trial, nothing is
yeah,
going to be going in his direction.
right, right." But what's so funny? This dude looks like Colonel Sanders. Literally, he looks like I
Right.
mean the mercy. He looks like Colonel Sanders. I'm like, oh, I just
They,
started
they took him
laughing.
straight out of a plantation, right?
Yeah, look like yeah,
They
he got
went,
the
knocked on his
profile.
door,
Yeah,
and said, "Do you want to go and participate
right.
into a lynching today?"
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, Punishment Park is basically the what America would look like under martial law. You know,
okay.
and yeah, it's actually a British director. He shot the movie, and it was during the late '60s, early '70s, and you know, this is right after they had that shooting at the shooting at the university where the National Guard shot dead this student, and so they made the movie right after that. And so, yeah, the movie is well written, man. Good movie. Damn, that's we talking about just revolutionary movies. That one, Punishment Park, is a definitely must see.
Well, it's fitting that we talk about movies as um, a segue because the next song I've listened to in the list. Oh, what's up, Yanga?
What's up, Zanzi? What's the word, brother?
Well, I've learned a lot about revolutionary music in the last week. That's for sure.
Okay, you've been checking out Ophala, huh?
Yeah. Well, I've looked at Fellow Cutie, a little bit
Mhm.
of Public Enemy, and Paris.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. You guys had a Tupac
Yeah,
discussion.
we
Son, you look
did.
on there, man. Zanzi, did you hold Tupac down? Did you hold Maru Shakur down?
I'm not sure what you mean by holding him down.
Meaning, did you represent?
I never thought as Tupac as a revolutionary artist per se, right? I knew that he had revolutionary background with his
Really?
parents, but when I saw the Solar Vision debate about how Tupac was a gay plant in the industry, that seems to be an extreme position, and I was surprised by it. But then when I discussed that
A
with
gay
Blackson,
friend. Who said that? Skin?
No, Solar said that.
no, no, not
Oh no,
Solar.
was it told that
Someone,
Oh,
Tupac?
oh,
Solar was debating someone on his show that was
oh.
saying that, and Solar was pretty much making fun of him, saying that he was s- basically saying nonsense.
Okay. Okay, so
Which,
Solar was pro Tupac.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, sorry
absolutely.
about that, Solar. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, so he was pro. Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Solar was holding down Tupac. Okay, got it, got it. I want to make sure I clear that up. I don't want
No, no, no.
Solar
Yeah.
coming in
So,
here.
but yeah. So, and that led to the discussion about how there were much more revolutionary artists in rap music, and I agreed with that. But to be honest, Public Enemy, I was familiar with their work. So on the until I get to Arizona, by the time I get to Arizona, this song was what I was used to from them to some extent, but listening to the old Sleeping with the Enemy album in one sitting, beginning to the end, really felt like reading a manifesto, right? So, anybody that, because as much as I don't think Tupac was a gay plant in the industry, I think this is ridiculous. Anyone holding down that he was the most revolutionary artist in rap music, I think mm, definitely did not listen to what came before him, right? So that was the uh, the summary of this discussion. I think about Tupac, and listening to that song really showed that as much as some of this music can just be seen, right? If you look at it in snippets or out of order or out of context, can seem as just violent music. When you put it in context and when you listen to it intently in order, it has a very structured message with a very definite intent, I'd say, right? The orders on the song and the I mean, there's two songs that I wasn't even sure. I had to go and look up to make sure they were part of the same album
Right.
because the sound of it, the feel of it were so different. It's Think About It and The Days of Old, right? Those two
Yeah.
songs, they seem out of place. But when you put it in context, right, they're just a two metal sound where they try to just like, okay, right, we rile you up, right? You feel stressed out right now. You feel ready to punch something. You feel ready to kill people. You feel ready to get involved in the fight. But try to think about your experience and how it relates to you and what you've seen, and try to think about how it might have been before that, right? The stories you've heard from other people, for the younger generation and for the younger generation, for the younger generation and for the older generation, um, the times they might have lived in, right? And to right after that go back into songs that are more mobilizing, right? So
Right.
I I uh
Now,
I was
now,
surprised
hold
by
on,
that because
Zanji.
that's, oh yeah.
Let me let Yanga know because I think he's a little loud. Yanga, he's referring to Paris.
Okay, okay, that's what I
Okay.
thought.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's referring to Paris. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
One of those songs I was familiar with. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just want to, yeah, because you forgot to mention Paris, Zanzi. You jumped into it, but then Yanga seemed a little like, okay, I think I
Yeah.
know what he's talking
I'm
about.
trying
So
to.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I talked about Tupac for a while, and then I
It's okay.
started by talking about the album. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it was a very interesting experience. I, I took a lot of notes, but basically, those different songs. The thing that was recurring in most of them, I think, is the inclusion of screaming in the beats, right? That's not
Mhm.
related directly to the story they're telling, but that's just used as an instrument. And
Mhm.
it was prevalent in those songs, I feel, that that really were inciting violence. So I don't know if that would be, so would those screams be considered part of the lyrics, or part of the beat, right?
Yeah.
To call back
Uh,
to our discussion about,
ad
even without the
libs.
lyrics, those songs can be
Yeah.
mobilizing.
Ad libs. I think they're ad libs. I
Mm.
think Public Enemy. I think when you look at those, I think Public Enemy set a pace. When we look at Paris, even when you look at Tupac's one of his first albums, Tupacalypse, it is very reminiscent of Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? So I think Public Enemy set a pace, but like Revolution is evolution. And so as Tupac evolved, as we moved out of the revolutionary phase or revolutionary understanding or application, like Public Enemy in Paris expressed it in their lyrics, I think Tupac was a personification of the
Well,
Uh-oh.
I think, yeah, he's frozen now.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's his Wi-Fi. He's trying to do Wi-Fi. Yanga. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, he's gonna have to. I see what he's doing. He's outside, so he's using the Wi-Fi. He's gonna have to do a hard connection.
yeah, I'm gonna have to. I end up messing around. I'm trying to run here and got locked out of the house. So I'm
Oh shit. Oh damn.
yeah. So I'm waiting on the people to come with the keys to get back
Okay,
right.
okay,
But
okay.
yeah, but I was saying all that to say that I think Tupac, what you see in Tupac, I would consider Tupac a comrade. I would consider Tupac because he and I are close in age, or would be. So what you see in Tupac is the evolution of revolution. It is the expression of what was happening to us at that particular time. Revolution wasn't expressed like it was in Public Enemy. You had to understand Public Enemy them were coming off of out of the 70s. The 70s was very revolutionary oriented. So we're talking about 80s, so we were still semi very influenced by Black power, by Black independence, self-determination, Black awareness, Black cultural consciousness, and this type of thing. Tupac is post-crack era. Tupac is evolution, revolution. Tupac is what happened to the children of Panthers, what happened to the children of revolutionaries. And so this is why I think a lot of us can relate to Tupac.
Yeah, but Yanga, more revolutionary than Paris, more revolutionary than the lynch mob, more revolutionary than NWA, more revolutionary than PE.
I think, I think that's hard to judge. For me, that's hard to judge because
right. And I'm not saying like I get what you're saying about Tupac, but like you got Madon Kemet, shout out to him, who jumped out there and said of all time, and I'm like, no, not all time. I come from the West Coast. You can pull that wool over anybody else's eye, but not on the West Coast. We know when Tupac came, we knew who he was. And, I mean, he was okay.
Yeah.
But like I said,
when you say more revolutionary, I think that depends who you're going to ask. Like if you ask, go ahead, Zanzi.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you. I have a piece I want to say about that, but I'm very interested in what you're about to say right now.
Yeah. Just basically it depends who you ask, what era they're from as far as revolutionary participation and how they perceive it. Tupac didn't speak to everybody. Everybody couldn't feel that, especially older. It's like I said, if you ask older generations, like my father and them, they like Tupac because they know where Tupac came from. But of course, they're not going to say he's as revolutionary as I'm trying to think somebody my father and them would say was super revolutionary in the music. Peter Tosh.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or somebody like that. It's different how you came into the understanding of the revolution. So a lot of people came into an understanding of Black power or acknowledge yourself with some of the things Tupac was saying in the lyrics, because we look at when Tupac was out. So yeah, of his time, I believe he is probably the most revolutionary of his time. I think he was a little bit after Paris.
He was,
You know what I'm saying? So of his time, if we look in his time frame, I'm trying to think the artist that was out in Tupac's time, who was more revolutionary than Tupac?
He was at the end of that revolutionary movement, Yanga. He was at the very end. So because I was telling Zanzi earlier, what year was Tupacalypse? What year was that?
Tupacalypse was 88, 89, something like that. Maybe 89, 90, something like that. It was early in the game. It was like on the heels of Lynch Mob. It was on the heels of Public Enemy. Right. See what I'm saying?
Was it was on the heels of Paris? So would you say technically Tupac and Paris started at the same time? Because Paris came out in 90, 91 also.
Yeah, but Paris, that Tupacalypse sucked, if you ask me. I understood the revolutionary message. Some revolutionaries liked it because it was very Paris-y. It was very Public Enemy sounding. You know what I'm saying? Tupacalypse. What was the one he had? Break My Brother Out of Prison. It was what I think Black Panther was on that Tupacalypse, or Black Power. It was just very, how we do as rappers. It was still within the trend. It's like all around the world the same song. You remember how Tupac used to wear the African gear and stuff like that? It wasn't until really he kind of embraced some street element and put revolutionary in there with street element. I think that era of the Public Enemies, of the Parises, of the Lynch Mob, Gorillas in the Mist, I think that era was fading out. And I think Tupac was right on the cusp of that and flipped his style, or incorporated that more into his style, and but still had revolutionary elements. So when I look at the height of Tupac, he was the most revolutionary out. But during Tupacalypse and things of that nature, that's why a lot of people don't know about it. It couldn't keep up with Lynch Mob. It couldn't keep up with Paris. It couldn't keep up. A lot of people don't know about Tupacalypse. You
Right,
know what
right.
I'm
Okay,
saying?
I see
But
what you're saying. Right, right. Okay,
yeah, it
okay.
was
I
it wasn't in that revolutionary genre. He wasn't Paris, Public Enemy. He wasn't coming like that. Tupac
Right.
Lips couldn't keep up with that. But when he
Okay.
started with the whole other shit, he found his lane. He found his niche.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nancy, you about to say something?
oh yeah, well, this I find it very interesting because I feel like uh what 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 you're kind of saying is that Black Sun is that the revolutionary music can be measured by the feeling that you've got while listening to it. So by the frequency of the songs, and to some extent the lyrics, and the violence and the incitation to action in them, right?
Right.
Whilst Yanga is saying that it all depends on the cultural background of the people listening to music, and that the revolutionary aspect of it can be measured by the amount of people who are move towards the movement and move towards the revolutionary ideas by the song, no matter the feeling of it or the sounds of it. But what I find very interesting is while you was discussing, I've looked up the dates because I was interested to see to know for sure what was the chronological order, especially between Tupacalypse and um, Sleeping with the Enemy from Paris. And
Right.
Tupacalypse is from 91, so it's a little bit
Oh,
and
okay.
Sleeping with the Enemy from Paris is from 92.
Oh,
So
so a year
Sleeping with the
before.
Enemy
Okay.
came after Apocalypse. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
something I didn't expect because from the sound of it,
Mm.
uh, the Sleeping with the Enemy, you'd think would be uh, a little bit older than Apocalypse, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't know how I got that date messed up, but yeah, that okay. So it's a year before.
but
Ah, but
my opinion on what would make a sound more revolutionary than another, or an artist more revolutionary than another, would be m- more about the structure, right? Does something um, promote explicitly revolutionary action? Does something instruct uh, actions, right? Because Fela Cutie, the song I've listened to, and I've got a bunch to listen to that you say promote more action, but like I've said, we're more asked around denouncing, right? So denouncing is great, but it's not. It's talking about the problem, not talking about the solution. And revolution
right,
is a
right,
solution to some extent, one of the
right,
many possible solution to our problem. So for me, that kind of action is important, right? And as much as it's interesting because if you listen to songs, the first songs of Sleeping with the Enemy, it's really talking about the political aspect and the
right.
systemic oppression,
Yes.
and about killing politicians, like you said, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely right.
like high level action, right? Things that require organization and uh, activist cells, and things that can be described as well, I guess national security concerns, right? But
Right.
he's making it feel almost like it's revenge,
Right.
right? This kind of action is revenge because we tried to do it the political way, right? We
Yeah.
had Martin Luther King, but you shot him, right? So now our action would be to answer in kind to some extent, right?
Right.
Um, but right after that, the songs become more about representation of that oppression and authority in a more achievable way, right? Take the fight to the streets, right? um, against directly against the cops, right? Basically, in the songs like um, fucking coffee donut and death, right?
Yeah.
They're saying that Well, just before that, there's also the part where they say that not it's not all about skin color, right? There's some people that call themselves black but are not part of the same struggle, right? That they work with the enemy, they're sleeping with the enemy.
Right.
Then we understand the title of the album, I think. But after that, there's songs like Coffee, Donut, and Death would bring it to right. Well, you can't go and try and kill those politicians. You can take those kind of actions, right? Because you're not organized. You're just one member of the community in the street. You don't have access to those kind of resources, those kind of organizations. But that song, they lay out that you have to act by protecting your community to some extent, right? If you see
Right.
representative of the suppression of in your community, most likely represented by cops, then it's on them that you take action. This song still have it doesn't have screams in the beat, but it's still a very rhythmic and enthralling, right, art
Right.
style beat. And just after that, you've got to sing the song "Think About It," which is one of the more mellow one that calls back of your experience and the experience of your friend with those cops, how they oppress you, right?
Right.
And but in a more mellow way, in a more nostalgic way. And then you get "Gorillas in the Mist," which is right back at well, hide in the community. Use the community to hide yourself and attack directly those representative of the authorities in the street. So that music, right? They lay out a plan on how to organize different level of this revolution, right? They lay out the role of everybody. They lay out the goals. By the end, they lay out all the goals at all the level, not only the societal level, how to act in the community, how to treat people. There's an accent on treating women right? And that's what I'm saying, right? Tupac in his later days, you said what more geared toward women, and the
Yeah.
only song that can be compared to what everything that Tupac did is the latest song, Asata's song, where it's all about the woman, right? All about their place in the society after the revolution, but also during the revolution. That even during all this hard fight that you have to do, whatever level you're fighting at, you all have to respect members of your community and especially the women of the community. So that for me, the structure and the plan in that music, that's what makes it truly revolutionary, right? I don't know if it reached many people uh, because it's about the same time as Tupacalypse, right? So it would have been geared
Right.
towards the same people, maybe. So I don't know if it reached as much people. But I definitely feel that the music in itself, be it with or without the lyrics for some song, was inciting violence and revolution in me, even though I'm not culturally affected directly by all those things.
Right.
And even the lyrics definitely were politically charged and laying out exactly what they were expecting from the people, right? So that felt truly revolutionary, more so than Fela Kuti or the Fela Kuti I've listened to, I'd say, and definitely more so than Tupac. Even though with Tupac's parents, you'd expect him to be singing those songs, right? But it's interesting.
Who are you speaking about?
Paris with Sleeping with the Enemy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yanga, I think the background noise is the volume because we're getting. Hold on, unmute your mic, Yanga, and see if okay. Hold on, let me.
It's. I know it may be some background noise with my mic. Is it background noise?
Yeah, if you could turn down just a hair,
Okay.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but just a hair. I'm thinking. Oh shoot. Okay. How's that, Yanga?
I don't know. You tell me. How is it?
Oh, that's better. Yeah. There
Okay.
you go. There you go. Yeah. It was. Yeah, I was. We were hearing everything in the background, but now we just hear you. That's why I say it's perfect. Yeah. So, did you hear what Zanzi said about Tupac's last about being for the women and all that? And it's funny you mentioned that, Zanzi, because actually that's where I was going with the debate. I was going to put that in there, but we didn't. We were pressed for time during that debate. But I was going to show how Suge Knight actually seen that, and when he bailed him out, he had a whole different direction for Tupac to get some of that money, that buying power that black women possess. So when you say black women, you have other people like Suge Knight that have other agendas and bail him out and say, look, we're going in this direction. Remember, before he got Tupac out, he was the manager of Jodeci. You remember Jodeci, right, Yanga?
Yeah.
So I was just throwing that in there. But I was just throwing that in there. But like I said, I shout out to Madon Kemet. Shout out to him, man. Yeah.
Why do you, so what was Madon saying? He, like, you keep saying that, shout out to Madon Kemet. What was Madon saying?
No, well, Madon was saying, because I baited Madon. I said Madon. And I already knew, because I assumed at the time he's from a younger generation. And most people from that generation will blot out saying Tupac is the greatest of all time, not hearing past groups. And I already knew this. So I said, okay, this is going to be an easy debate for me to school him on. Because most people, and I think it's a generational thing. I just think it's a generational thing. Like you said, Zanzi, Tupac came at the end at a certain time. But at that time, people just saw Tupac and ran with it, not looking at, look, what are some of the other groups that came along, you know? But some of them other groups weren't pushed like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, right? This album, "Sleeping with the Enemy," were any of those songs ever played on TV or on the radio? No, right?
No.
So yeah, those cannot have the same reach as those other artists that were popularized by the mainstream media to some extent. YouTube today allows for that kind of things, but back in the days, right, there were two places where you could be played. There were three, I guess. There was the live option, but
well, I think that just like your search for Fela Kuti, it showed you all the more radio friendly Fela Kuti, as opposed to the tracks I just showed you. Them tracks, just like Paris, are not really radio friendly. And those tracks that I showed, he specifically was locked up and beat up for those specific tracks, especially Zombie.
In Nigeria? Oh, yeah.
Nigeria, yes. In Nigeria, yeah. Yeah, America didn't care. Hell, America had they praised Ozzy. You know, they had Ozzy Osbourne at the Bush, and they had Eazy-E too. So they they were just like, I don't know.
I heard that was a mistake.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah. So that was a mistake.
But like you said, after listening to this album, I was really wondering, are they allowed to say those things to some extent? Because, right, you've got the impression that he's really trying to launch something akin to the RRA, but in America, right? He's trying to...
Again, you got to remember during the time Rodney King got beat down. So a lot of people popped up and was saying a lot of stuff. So it happened so fast with the Rodney King thing. You had rock bands doing it, punk rock bands. Everybody was like, yo, what the hell? You let this man beat Rodney King and get off? Like, the whole country was pissed. So they didn't have time to be, let me censor him. Let me censor them. The country blew up. Like, the world blew up. Hell, anybody that got wind of Rodney King's ass whooping was like, oh, hold up. Wait a minute. You even had senators or congressmen going pow, 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 pow. Y'all remember that? I don't know if you've seen that, Zanzi, but I know Yanga remembers that shit.
Yeah, when he's telling how many times he had gotten hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the country was pissed off.
Yeah.
So you didn't have... Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's it. The censorship really didn't start to around that time, though.
Oh, that's right.
I think C. Dolores Tucker, Calvin Butts, all that was right. In fact, Tupac and them rap about them.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, Y'all can eat a dick trying to block a black man's money. I mean, they really, when rap really took it, one of the first people that I have to give credit for, he wasn't revolutionary in the context of revolutionary music, but he was revolutionary in what he did for the music industry, and that's Luke Campbell, or Luther Campbell, what we used to call Luke Skywalker, Uncle Luke, 2 Live Crew.
Right.
Remember when they tried to censor him and he beat him with the First Amendment right? So, I mean, so censorship. So, I mean, when we begin to express ourselves, and we expressed ourselves in a manner that it's crazy, because I can see what Dolores Tucker and Calvin Butts was talking about. You know, like you said, for instance, Paris didn't get that type of play.
Right.
Public Enemy got that type of play because Public Enemy had crossover appeal.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So Public Enemy had a large white audience. But when Tupac began to debase and denigrate black people, began to rap more about the baser side of the black life or black community life, that's when he got more exposure. And here's the unfortunate truth.
Right.
The distributors pay for that. I mean, it's nothing to have a record label. It's nothing to have a record label.
Okay.
But the distributors are everything. Sony, RCA, Warner Brothers. So that's where the real power lies. And they really get behind and endorse black music that is less than favorable to the black community. And that's where Tupac began to find a lot of his play. And so that's why I said, we're going back to Dolores Tucker and Calvin Butts. That's the tough part, because they really did have a problem with the bitch, the usage of bitch, the what they felt like was the overglorification of criminal life or drug life and things of that nature. So I get what they were saying. However, this is why I say sometimes being older, we have to step back and really try to listen to the young people and hear what they're saying. Because in there trying to censor that, they were censoring a message also.
Right.
So,
and I never took away Tupac's revolutionary credibility. I just was like, when they say more revolutionary, then I have to look at the situation that we were in, that Tupac was in, and I have to look at the situation that Fela was in. So I had to look at the environment. I had to look at the penalties. I had to look at what was being put on the line. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Tupac just might get censored. Oh, bad Tupac. Oh, we're going to censor you. But Fela, I mean, hell, the last, I showed where another protester got hung.
Yeah.
And this was serious. So, Zanzi, you mentioned that, it was not a lot of, there was spurts. And then once his mom died, he came out where he was like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck now.
Yeah, I can't understand.
I don't care. Huh?
No, I can understand that his mother getting thrown out of window and then killed afterwards. That would mark a shift in his attitude towards all that.
Right.
That's
he didn't care after that. After Coffin head of state of Coffin or something. Coffin head of state. Fela didn't give a fuck no more. Like before his mom, he was toting the line. He was getting his ass whooped. He was getting arrested. But once they threw out his mom out the window, he's like, fuck it. Y'all killed my mom. Man. And he went all in, man. And he just, he took that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you definitely check those songs. I mean, you said you heard Head of State. But I guess, like I said, once you...
I haven't listened to Head of State. I've seen it in my search, but went for Beast of No Nations instead. Maybe I should have went for Coffin Head of State. I didn't know it was related to his mother dying. If I knew, I would definitely have gone for that one instead. But.
Yeah. He's singing about how the military came in and threw his mom out of the 2-story window.
God, no.
Yeah. And after that, Fela was like, then he started talking about retaliation in his song. He's talking about, yo, you kill one of ours, we're gonna kill 3 of yours. And yeah, he just what song is that? that's unknown soldier. That's why they call it unknown soldier, because he's saying basically, hey, shout out to Trevor. He's saying basically, you kill one of ours, we're gonna kill 3 of y'all's, and it's gonna be an unknown soldier. When he said unknown soldiers, meaning he's just gonna grab anybody. Anybody. That was the original fuck the police right there.
Yeah, which is interesting because it goes with the one from Paris that's called Guerrillas in the Mist, right? In the fact that people, it, it's all guerrilla warfare, right? So undercover, coming from the shadows, in the mist, in the way that you won't be able to identify where it's coming from. You won't be able to go back to the source of it. It's going to be done by an unknown, anonymous soldier. I don't know if that's what he was saying, but it's interesting to see that sentiment and this mode of operation come down um, in the different generations of artists.
Right.
But that's all in relation to a revolution, and a urban revolution to some extent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to talk about the the context of censorship, right?
Yeah.
Indeed, how revolutionary can you be if you want to reach people in a context where you won't have the same platform, if you say the same kind of things that would lead to this revolution?
Say it again.
You have
Say
to be
what?
more subtle about it to some extent.
Can you
Wait,
explain?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
break it down.
Zezzy?
Oh, hello?
Yeah,
Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah, Yanga had a
You,
question for you.
Oh,
Yanga.
you
right.
was yeah. Break it down. What were you saying? You have to be. What do you? I didn't understand it.
Oh, I was just making a comment that you were saying earlier that the Tupac the context in which Tupac evolved was um, we had to take into context the fact that there was censorship, right? That
Yeah,
yeah. So that's something I never thought about, right? The
that's
fact
part
that
of it. And it was the post. You have to be from America, and it was the post crack era.
mm,
It was the post. I think when here's the thing about saying more revolutionary, especially when you're comparing it to other artists in the United States. What time frame did they come about? What was the social, cultural condition of the people? What's the political climate like? What's the economic climate? And I think that those are things that have to be factored in. And when you look at Tupac, especially at the height of Tupac's career, I don't think that there was anyone as uh, revolutionary in their sound as Tupac was. Not cultural, but revolutionary. And that's what I look at when you look at Tupac. Like I said, to go back again, the beginning of Tupac's career, when he was coming on the heels of a Paris, when it was coming in the era of Ice Cube, when Ice Cube was coming to his consciousness with the lynch mob and America's Most Wanted with the Triple Ks. Tupac was coming in the heels of, in the throngs of that, and so he didn't have that type of that type of notoriety.
yeah, it's interesting though that um, the album "Sleeping with the Enemy" came after Tupac's most because you were saying that the most revolutionary album of Tupac was Tupacalypse, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In my
So
opinion.
right, but that came before Paris.
Really?
Sleeping with the yeah, Paris.
Yeah.
Tupacalypse is 91. Sleeping with the Enemy is end of 92. So that's why I was asking if because Tupacalypse, I know some of those songs
Yeah.
were played
Yeah.
on TV, whilst
What
well,
song?
at least in Canada they were,
Okay.
but yeah, but I've never seen Paris on TV in Canada.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Paris is super underground.
Yeah.
Paris was super underground. But like with that Tupac, that the whole started that flavor was Public Enemy to me. Paris was super underground and even harder than Public Enemy because Paris was speaking Black Revolution. Paris was coming off of the Black Panther, the Black Revolution understanding explicitly. We look at Public Enemy. Public Enemy was coming off of revolution to a degree, but it was more, in my opinion, of course, a social cultural revolution and understanding, because Public Enemy was leaned heavily towards the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan. Remember, it's like, Farrakhan's a prophet that I think you ought to listen to. What you gonna do? Rap's not afraid of you. So it had to, and you could even see that in a lot of Ice Cube's Brother with the Best, where Paris was devoid of that. Paris was straight like shit. Ain't no religion in this. This is straight like Black Power, straight Black Panther, Black Power type of revolutionary music. So yeah, Paris wasn't gonna get played.
What I found was interesting in Paris, I wasn't expecting, in the song "The Old Days," when he was reminiscing about the '70s, when he was reminiscing about when he felt the black community was united and black on black violence was less prevalent. The current situation, he says, he doesn't blame it on the white male, he would say, right? He doesn't blame it on white people as much as on figures of authority, be it politicians or be it their hands in law enforcement. But you're very right that even in the underhanded way that some of the language that even Ice Cube would use, that definitely hinted toward some kind of religious or at least theological background, that I never asked myself if what were the spiritual beliefs of Ice Cube, but maybe it was just for the sound of it, or maybe it was because he believed in some of it that he mentions it in some of his songs. But I was surprised to see that it was entirely political and sociologically based, the songs, and Sleeping with the Enemy, right?
Absolutely.
None of what you'd heard, even in well, I don't know, but most of the I guess Ice Cube, Ice Cube is from the West Coast, but most of the songs that would include theological background, to me, seems to come from the East Coast, from New York, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just uneducated on the subject, but that's what I've noticed.
I would say that. I say a lot of music comes now. Tippy Tappy Man is talking about Uzi. Is he talking about Uzi out of California? Is that the Uzi he's talking about?
I'm not
Tippy
sure.
Tappy, is that the Uzi out of California? I know you're not talking about this new rapper, Little Uzi.
That's that new stuff. Okay, he talking about some.
Well, is he talking about Little Uzi? But I think there was a Uzi MC out of California, I believe, and the Blood Rap Movement. I'm not hip to that, or Herman the Tosser. That sounds like a West Coast MC. You know, y'all love to have them titles. Herman the Tosser, Devin the Dude. That sounds like some West Coast stuff. But Uzi, if Tippy Tappy, put in the chat, man, or either jump on the panel. Is this the Uzi out of California? And if I'm not mistaken, didn't this Uzi get killed?
Right. Yeah, let me send him a link, man, because
that's
real.
That's about real. Oh shit, Bizzle. This
UK Bizzle.
UK.
The UK. Oh, he's talking about the UK.
Oh, real thug shit. Okay, these are UK rappers.
Yes, I know the UK got a drill scene now. They've I know they followed.
I've heard some of that UK stuff in movies I've been watching.
Right.
And yeah, it's very reminiscent of the drill scene of it. Yeah. You know what though? But this is what gets me. And we all, as far as my Pan-Africanism goes, shouts out to Black people all across the globe. But as a Black African here in America, this is what I mean, y'all. People are emulating us. All over the world, they're emulating us. And we don't wait a minute. I'd say sacrifice. Scarface had more. I don't know. I would disagree with that, Trevor.
Oh, Trevor.
And we don't.
Wait a minute. Hold up, because I did have the Ghetto Boys in my debate. So
Ghetto Boys, but I mean, y'all got more in them vein. Was Tupac revolutionary? I mean, we can go for lyric. Okay. That Tupac is one of my most favorite is There's a ghetto up in heaven and its eyes. Black powers, people, powers in the people, powers in the people, and the politics they address. I mean, put this jam in your box, put this tape in your box when you run in a block, and when you what he say, don't look back. Damn, I can't, because if they would be black, they would switch, open fire on them bust ass bitches. Lord knows. I mean, just constantly. It wasn't just about with Tupac, why I said it was revolutionary, because it wasn't just about describing social conditions. Tupac had the ability to articulate the frustration.
Okay. You would have been better in that debate than Madon Kemet, because I don't think Madon Kemet would have took it there. Because I would have took it to goddamn Cricket Officer by the Ghetto Boys. What's happening? You beat another black man's ass. And
okay. How many of them can you do when Pac constantly, when you can go through lyric after lyric?
I was going to jump around. I'm not going to lie. I was going to jump around from Paris, Public Enemy, the lynch mob. I was just going to hit him with people. I was going to blow his mind. I can't blow your mind with it because you've heard all these people. I guarantee you I was going to blow his mind. I was going to blow his wig back. He was going to be like, like, Black son, get off of him. Get off of him. Bombard him with some heavy shit that I know he ain't heard. I didn't know he ain't heard these groups. So I was gonna blow his mind.
I think one of the magical things about Tupac, for me anyway, what stood out about him was, no, he wasn't the dopest lyricist. Okay. I would even say Biggie, as far as lyricism and to play with words, was better at that than Tupac. But Tupac had a way of articulating your pain. I don't know what it was. He just had a way of saying and it would be simple. One of my favorites, Tupac says, I smoke a blunt to take the pain out. If I wasn't high, I'd probably try to blow my brains out. I'm hopeless. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just the way he could just capture that frustration of young Black America and articulate it.
I think that what you're saying is very true and blends in right in the fact why he might have been so popular with women at some points in his songs. Mm-hmm. I think maybe he wasn't as artistic with his lyrics as Biggie might have been, but he had a much more developed emotional intelligence and communication sense that allowed him to incite, and that's why I your perspective of how to qualify revolutionary song, if we take your perspective, I think Tupac was indeed a great revolutionary artist, because you're framing it as how many people did he bring down the path of understanding and feeling that they had to do something about injustices and about the state of the world, right? And Tupac is definitely the artist that incited that in me the most. I've been incited with different experiences before being incited by Tupac, but is the first artist I've listened to as far as rap goes that brought me down that path. And even though he didn't state any actions to be taken or laid out any plan, right? And that's the perspective I came from when I was saying that he was definitely not the most revolutionary artist, and most likely not what we might expect him to be. But framing it how you're framing it, how you can communicate the struggle and the pain of a situation to people that maybe are not living in that situation, then I agree with you that yes, that's something that I think even right. Paris, he can make you feel it, but it just makes you feel anger through the hardness of his lyrics, through the hardness of his beats. Whilst Tupac, it makes you feel what the people are going through, right? And that's a different way to incite the feeling of wanting to do something. But I still have the feeling that true revolutionary music should instruct you and on how to organize a movement. I'm that's how I feel. I'm not sure.
I could agree with that. And let me say this to Trevor. That's my jam. The hand of a dead body. Nigga don't believe that song. That nigga's wrong. Gangsters don't believe that long. That is gangster. But however, uh, I don't know, Trevor. We would have to discuss that. Because I can go into his lyrics, and we may not be talking. It depends what you're calling revolutionary. We may not be talking about the whole song. You could go get 10 songs that are revolutionary, but I could go in almost every one of his songs and pull out revolutionary sentiment, revolutionary, sentiment that something has to change. This isn't right. Now, to address what Zanzi was saying, I agree with you, Zanzi, that revolutionary music should be instructional. When you're at that time, there again, I say you have to look at the times. When we look at Public Enemy, when we look at even Paris, we look at the time. These are 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we were still very high on a black awareness in America. We were rocking cross colors. Brothers was still rocking African medallions. You know, not only did we have a revolutionary movement, we had a cultural movement. We had poor righteous teachers, brand Nubians. Especially on the East Coast, we had a cultural movement that aided and assisted the revolutionary movement. There again, when I'm talking about Pac, I'm talking about post-crack, the highlight of Pac, when Pac began to reach the pinnacle of his career. I'm talking post-crack, the height of gangbanging, the revolution for most parts was dead.
Right.
The revolution for most parts was dead. The feeling for revolution was dead. And I think Tupac came and he articulated what the fuck was going on and what people were feeling. And before any revolution can start, and people have to be centered, and people have to know where the problem is arising from. People have to know, not that there is just a problem and where the problem is arising from, but who is giving the problem. Even if we are yourself are the source of your problem. And I think Tupac gave us that in all of his music. You know what I'm saying? For most of it. One of my favorite songs, I can't even think of it, but I remember a line when my man says, listen to this shit. He says, I've been really wanting babies, so I can see a part of me that wasn't always shady. Can't trust my lady, because she's a product of the poison. I'm hearing noises, think she's fucking all my boys. Can't take no more. I'm falling to the floor, begging for the Lord to let me in the heaven door. You know what I'm saying? So it's these type of things that begin to where we begin to address with Tupac, to me, the issues of self and how life affected me, how I felt about it, and how I expressed that towards other black people and towards the white man. And I think Tupac, if that's the perfect word, I think he was like a black therapist, a revolutionary therapist. I have never since then heard anybody that could articulate the pain as well as Tupac and put a finger on it and still be inspiring and let you know a change has to be had. Now, like Zanzi said, did he give a plan of operation? Did he give a organization? I don't think that was his role. I even heard him in an interview say that he may not be the one to change the world, but he may be the one to spark the one to change the world. And I think that he was excellent at doing that. I think Tupac stirred controversy. He stirred conversation. He stirred interflexion and outer reflection. You know what I'm saying? And I haven't found an artist that has stirred me like that since.
I agree with that. That's an accurate description of this.
It's my opinion. What do you mean, Trevor? Pop came around at a time even anti-establishment was really taking off. What do you mean by that, big brother?
Trevor, do you have time to come on? I could drop a link. I don't know if you have time, but man, I'm gonna drop a link just in case, because Yeah, you leave some great comments, but it's kind of I'm trying to translate too, and I think you just jump on the panel and just shoot your shot, brother. You know, come talk to us, man. Because
So Tippy. So I'm assuming you're in the UK. And I know this show was supposed to be about socialism. I had and let me tell you something. Hold on. Let me tell you.
Oh no, we still gonna do that, Yanga. That was my.
I'm waiting for that capitalist show again. An introduction to Marxism. Y'all done made me go in my little beat up live. I'm not like y'all. A lot of y'all get on the YouTube. I go to the library. I go to my little library. So you would make me pull out my basics. A basics, Ernest Mandel, an introduction to Marxism, classless society. I said, I'm going to have to go to the basics on you guys. And he breaks down capitalism because all you advocates of capitalism and opponents of socialism or understanding socialism, especially an African understanding of socialism, we're going to have some good discussions.
Oh, we got some great shows. Zanzi, what? You want to join us on some of those, man? You want to?
Well, when you changed the title Cajun Socialism, I was down for it. I mean, I haven't prepared for it, but I think people.
That's why I want you to get you prepared for it, because obviously Yanga is ready to go, so I want you to get ready too. And
and what inspired me was your panel. I believe it was yesterday, and I'm gonna go back and watch the show, Capitalism After Reconstruction. And I know some of the people on the panel are probably very pro-capitalist. I said, I'm going to go back and listen to this show now.
Actually, Nature Mom held it down. She's like, wait up, Black Son. And I was like, oh, shoot, Nature Mom did down.
See, I need to be on there with Nature Mom. Yeah, man.
She was like, wait a minute. What are you trying to get me to say here?
Yeah.
So she's sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to coerce her into just, and she's like, well, we don't know what they called it back then. I was like, well, damn, she got me right there. So she held it down. She wasn't about to be trapped up in no.
Right. I'm gonna have to check it out. Right.
Yeah, you're gonna like her response.
She
not trapped. She wasn't going for it. So she knows the 3-card money.
Okay. Because I think capitalism is a lot more complex. Than a lot of people like to present it, especially for Black people. Like, we're consumer capitalists. Then you have racial capitalism, and that's what America practices: racial capitalism. So
did we not practice racial capitalism, or did we have to during Reconstruction? Because we still, do as the Romans do. We had to just come out.
They practiced racial capitalism, and they found out the thing about capitalism is capitalism evolves. And they found out that particular form of racial capitalism, that complete exclusion to the exclusion of the Black dollar, was not beneficial for American capitalism. So racial capitalism evolved. It said, okay, we'll take your Negro pennies, but we won't take you. We will form, we'll take, like you said, in Reconstruction, Jim Crow, segregation. Like I said before, we had to deal with one another.
Okay, here's what I want to do. Because for Zanzi's, I want to deal. Now, Zanzi, take notes, because I want to deal with you guys' Medicare system. So the socialized medicine, I want to deal specifically with that. Now, Yanga, I want you to bring the whole Reconstruction capitalism to let me send the link. Hey, Zero, man, I was waiting on you to come, man. We're gonna deal with this on many levels. It's just not one monolithic. So what I want you to do,
So just to help prepare also, I just want to be clear. Yanga, you're on the side of capitalism or socialism?
No. Socialism. I would be considered an African socialist.
I'm very interested to know what are exactly the aspects of African socialism, because Canada is not socialist. Canada is a social democrat, and I would argue that the United States are also social democrats. Less so than Canada, but still you've got social programs, right? You're not 100% capitalists.
No, we're not. And because America's smart, they knew they couldn't pull that off. You have to. The Black Panthers, since we're talking, is one of the groups that forced them to implement socialist programs. Before the Black Panthers, there were no free breakfast programs. There was no WIC. There was no, the state didn't give a fuck about the black community that blatantly. So that's why I say some people say, oh, we got our ass kicked. The Black Panthers lost. If you really know revolutionary, not really, they made the government concede. Right. The government was forced to give subsidiaries. They were forced to give subsidy to help the impoverished community. Particularly, we were fighting for the black community, but all of impoverished people. The Panther Party, because not only did just black people get free breakfast and get the benefits of what the Panther Party made the government concede, but yeah, all the people in America benefited from that. But that's why we have programs like that over here, Zanzi. We have fought for those programs. America was not benevolent and said, oh, you know what, I have a change of heart. Let's give these babies free breakfast. Let's test for sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell. Anemia. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, right, the more socialist states are just that, states' decisions, right? And every piece of involvement of the federal government in society has to be hard fought for, because yes, indeed, as far as federal government involvement, that's something that the Americans, from what I understand, don't really want. Leave it to the state if the states want to get involved, right? But so that's very different from Canada, where federal government tries to get everywhere it can, and some states fights against it.
Well, now that's when, for me, I guess the Mississippi campaign or other groups like that, like me, I favor the Republic of New Africa, where that would come in, where more state control, less federal regulation. However, like I've said before, the current state of Black America now, the deregulation of the federal government could be disastrous for Black people. History has shown, especially for those people that want to be included in the system. You know what I'm saying? History bears witness to that. When the federal government wasn't involved, look at Mississippi, look at Alabama, look at those places until they had to send. And even when the civil rights was signed into effect, years later, they still had to send the federal government in to intervene, because racism is so interwoven and intrinsic. This is what I was trying to tell the brothers. It's so interwoven and intrinsic that even though you put something or pass something in law, the people, Bull Connors, refused to adhere to federal law.
So that's interesting, because what you're describing right now, and I know we haven't had the chance yet to discuss that, but it's about the First Nations in Canada is the same thing, right? Especially in Quebec, right? When Quebec voted to be independent, right, in 1995. A big part of what would have shifted this 49% to 51% could have been the indigenous vote in Quebec. But most of the indigenous people voted against Quebec seceding from Canada. And the reason for that is because Robert Bourassa, I think it was Robert Bourassa, when he was asked what he thought about, because it was basically asked, well, if Quebec secedes from Canada, what happens with your land? Because there's no treaty over all the land in Quebec, right? It was basically stolen from the indigenous people, whilst everywhere else in Canada, there are treaties. Now, the legitimacy of these treaties can be debated, but there are treaties, not in Quebec, right? So if you get rid of all Canadian laws, well, all this land that's been stolen by Canada, who does it goes back to? Us, the indigenous people, or you, the Quebecers people, the French people, right? And basically what he answered them was, no, well, you don't have the same right of autodetermination as we do on this land. We've been here for 400 years building it, right? Oh, okay, yeah, we've been there for a couple thousands, but I guess that doesn't count, right?
No, you guys didn't build it. We built it, we civilized it.
So
Well, white people are
at
the
that
same wherever
point,
they
the
go,
answer
huh?
from the indigenous people was, well, we're better vote staying in Canada because at least they recognize us. They might be treating us like
Right.
children's, but at least they recognize us, right? So that's why they voted mostly no for this. So that's interesting that you say that black people get more protection from the federal
It's,
government
I was
sometimes than
gonna
they get
say
from
so
state
similar.
governments.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, Zanza, you get it. The First Nation and black people, it's very similar. It's like that. That's why I'm not so hard on the civil rights movement, because I understand the general sentiment. I understand the overall desire of what they were expecting, and that is to be acknowledged as citizens and afforded full equal rights, and not just rights but protection. You know, down south, they was what Billie Holiday saying, strange fruit. We were getting lynched like, you know, literally pick a nigga picnics. You
Mhm.
know, it was that type of thing. So I can understand overall what the civil rights movement was about. It was about recognition. It was about federal protection. It was about, hey, you can't just come down here, take our land, murder us, and just, you know, have carte blanche. So we need federal intervention. I still believe that Black America still embraces the individual ideal, and our lack of collectiveness to such a degree that it would be dangerous for us as a whole right now to end federal intervention into state affairs.
It depends, Yanga. It depends. It really depends. So I mean, like
Depends on
okay,
what. I'm listening.
good example. The abortion thing. Do you
Mm-hmm.
really think that people who are religious, who believe in Jesus and life, God has blessed us with a child, that they should pay for an abortion when the majority say, we're not down with killing babies? And my solution has always been divide up the states, separate the
Mm-hmm.
states, separate
Mm-hmm.
them. That way, the people who feel this way to the far right, you move to these states, and the people to the left, you move to these states, and then we'll see how this shit works out. So you can
Yeah,
still, it's just
yeah,
like the
yeah,
marijuana law. The
yeah,
marijuana,
yeah.
the marijuana, you can go to California, smoke yourself out.
You gone, man? All right, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yes, to a degree. Yes,
Oh
to a
no,
degree. I
to a
mean,
degree.
I don't think it's that simple.
Why is
I
it not
don't
that
think it's
simple?
that simple. I don't think it's just that
You
simple.
move to enclaves where people share your like mind, share your like beliefs and cores and values. What do you mean? The Amish do it.
Well, but the Amish, right? From what I understand, they're still bound to the laws of the United States. So
No,
human
no.
rights and constitutional aspects. So again, we've discussed that during our first debate, right? What Roe versus Wade was doing was just setting the boundaries as to what can be protected, right? And they
Right.
decided that it was the fetus up to starting at a certain point, I think 24 weeks. At 24 weeks, yes, then that's a human that can be protected. So you can make a law that appeals to the protection of that human that's not born yet. So that aspect, right, that's fine. Before that is not considered a human. That's something to take into account. And the other one was the protection of the woman, right, to the to protect the methods. So the fact that you say that you want to protect or not that human, that can be left up to the state, I guess. But I think it's important to define when something becomes a human and when something is too dangerous to be considered a medical procedure.
Right. And essentially what I'm saying is that the country is divided on that. So
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, okay, the federal governments can instill basic laws, but when it comes down to fundamental distinctions like that, then because we have a lot of things like that divide us. You know what I'm saying? Abortion, legalization of marijuana, the economy, you know what I'm saying? Social programs, free market. Like these are the real divides amongst our countries. Like we all agree, don't murder nobody, don't steal.
Oh, we
We
don't.
agree with the basic laws, right? But when
No,
it
we
comes
don't.
to like specific laws, like abortion, it's split. It's split.
I I would agree. I would argue. Sorry, that we don't agree on any of those things, right?
Right.
Because if we did, then jails would be useless. Um, so no, society doesn't agree on anything. You know, that's the main question. I think it's more of it might be more of a philosophical question at that point. But right, there's no such thing as human rights written in nature. Right,
Right,
nature
right,
is
right,
all
right.
about chaos trying to order itself, or the opposite, depending on what your view is. And it's all a human construct, right? So, but we have to decide: do we want those human construct to have a core that applies to all humans regardless, or are we willing to be lenient, and are we willing to extend that cultural understanding to even the most held on um, parts of our culture that we've been raised in, right?
Right.
Because
Well,
if you're willing to give in on anything, well, at what level are you willing to give in on that? The township level, the state level, the federal level, the continent level, right? So that's the question you have to ask yourself, because at that point, maybe you're willing to, if your neighbor is willing to agree to never eat you or your friends, are you
right.
willing to allow him to be a cannibal?
I mean, okay, so that's a very good question. Because I always like to, what y'all know where I'm going with this. Religion and God is a human construct. So
Yeah,
when you take something like, let's just say religion, to where like you have like real theocratic nations and where this human construct that man created God, well, it's just like me saying, well, Yanga and Zanzi, the pink unicorn told me to tell y'all to donate $10,000 to my bank account. And if you don't, you're going to be in hardship from the pink unicorn. So, in fact, everybody in the chat, donate to Black Sun's funds, or else the pink unicorn is going to be upset with you. That's religion. That's a human
I care
construct.
about pink unicorns. Don't hurt pink unicorns, Black Sun.
No,
Why
no, no,
would
no.
you
The
hurt
pink
pink
unicorn is
unicorns?
going to hurt y'all. He ain't going to hurt me. But y'all got to donate to the pink unicorn. Even though he's in the trunk of my car, but he spits out $5 bills. He's all right. He's all right, Zanzi. Pink unicorn's okay. But that's where I'm going with the religion thing. You got real theocracies that say, hey, God told us to put down these rules and laws because, and it's like, okay, So, we can all agree, and I always say this: religion didn't create "Thou shalt not kill." We that's something that society agreed upon as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Now you got these religions trying to monopolize off of "Thou shalt not kill," "Thou shalt not commit adultery," and "Thou shalt not do this and do that," and it's just like, yo, those constructs existed before the Abrahamic religion. In fact, they existed before Abraham. So we had to evolve and say, okay, you know what? I'll do unto others as they do unto you. Meaning, I don't want to eat this person. No, because if I eat this person, then it's chances they're going to come back. Their generation going to eat my kids, and you know what I'm saying. So I say this is that
Well, most cannibal cultures that are that work that add cannibal aspect of the culture up until recently, they were eating either ancestors, right? So that was part of the death ritual, basically, or they were eating enemies, right? Enemy
right,
soldiers, enemies fighters to get their strength, and they add a ritual associated with part of the body to make sure that they wouldn't come back to hunt them. Right, so
right,
that's interesting because that's what taken into account. But there was a benefit to doing it, right? That was worth the risk if you were taking the proper steps to mitigate the risks. The true risk, I guess, that was getting hunted and getting mad from hunting was most likely because you ate the brain and got prion disease. But that's another subject.
Right,
But the
right,
point is that you weren't about to eat your neighbor, right? Most societies that embrace cannibalism embraced it in a way that uh, it wouldn't hinder their own society, basically.
right. Good point.
Right? Most cultural practices are not self-destructing, except maybe McDonald's. Well, I guess that's something else.
Well, you had the NKVD. Don't forget them. They were pretty.
Yeah. Well,
They were
those are not. It's to be argued. Are those government imposed measures truly cultural aspects, right? Because it's something that comes. Most things that come from the Canadian government, I'd say, are cultural aspects of Canada. So I don't. I'm not sure if it's true for the United States too. But
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, say that again, Zanzi, because I caught that, but I didn't catch
oh,
that.
because I was speaking about different cultural aspects of societies that are not usually not self-destructing, and you talked about the NKVD, and I always thought the NKVD was a branch of the government,
It
the
is. It
Russian
is.
government, right?
Yeah.
So that's not really a societal aspect, right? A cultural aspect. That's just a bureaucratic
Oh,
arm,
good point. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Right, right. And the reason I mentioned the NKVD is because our police force copies after them. So that's why I mentioned that our penal system copies after the gulags. And so,
Oh,
yeah, we
okay.
so that's why I like to I always like to reference them because we
No, no, you're right. The prison system definitely is part of a
absolutely.
culture, I think, and
Mhm.
yours is freaking company, right? It's to make money, basically. The prison system in the United States, from what
Yes.
I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Capitalism.
Yeah, Yanga saying capitalism in the background,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Hey,
Uh,
you know. Hey, y'all. Man, this is a fire show. So what we doing next week, Yanga, Zanzi? What we doing next week? We gonna do the
yeah, if you want to
Eh,
talk about
Yeah, man. Why
Canadian and
not,
African
man? Let's
socialism, that'd be nice.
yeah.
okay,
At least
okay, okay.
go into.
Yanga, know it. Tell exactly what Zanzi you want, so he can go research it. So yeah, we can have a fire
Well, I
show.
didn't know what we was. I know we were talking about. I know you guys had capitalism before Reconstruction.
Okay.
I guess we could talk a little bit about socialism. Uh, however, if Zanzi wants to do the Canadian socialism, talk about democratic socialism, which I don't know, Zanzi. I think we disagree on that. I don't believe America. I think Bernie Sanders. I think he was blatant enough and real enough to say that he was a democratic socialist, and if he had his way, he would definitely implement a lot of that more democratic socialism in there. But I don't know if I would say America is democratic socialist. I know America
Like
is smart enough.
that's a personal view of mine. I'd say most
Oh,
of
okay.
my most of my politics teachers didn't agree with that statement, but that's an extremist view, saying that as soon as you've got a social, that's me trying to shit on the capitalists, right? Saying that no capitalist society, no purely
There's
capitalist society
no
ever
purely
existed, right?
capitalist
So
society that
yeah,
ever
but you're
existed.
right that as
Ever
much as
existed.
can
And
be in the
America,
United States. No, go ahead.
yeah, they have to. United States tries to hold on. United States tries to be the seat of imperialism. United States tries to hold on to as hard as they could as pure capitalism. But like you said, the rights of the people will revolt. If you oppress people, people will revolt. So America, to a degree, understood that they had to have at least a welfare system. And when I say welfare system, not the way that they would project it, but a welfare system for some of the needs of the population of the people. Now, what I believe is that it still needs an overhaul. Like when we go into socialism, and that's going to be one of the things, because I think a lot of you guys, especially pro-capitalists, use socialism interchangeable with communism.
Oh no,
And
no, no.
yeah, well, not
I'm
you,
pro
Zandy. You're not
communist.
pro-capitalist. You're not pro-capitalist. But I mean, I think a lot of
Yeah,
capitalists, especially these black pro-capitalists, use fear tactics on the uneducated masses. Communism, communism.
yeah.
They're
No,
communists, and they know our people don't understand that and have been frightened by that all the way from the Eisenhower fucking administration to now. You know, even though they don't know what communism really is, we are frightened of it.
Are
And
you
so,
are you
well,
accusing
we
me of
can lay out the
McCarthyism?
difference between those clearly. I mean,
yeah,
Machiavelli.
we can. That's gonna, that's gonna have to be part of it, laying out the difference between socialism and communism. And so I think that our people,
And y'all
run
hear
from that.
this. Yanga's accused me of McCarthyism. Is that what you're doing there?
McCarthyism, yeah. Spy on you. It's up to you to tell. Watch everyone the Red Scare. The fucking Red Scare. Yeah, man.
Yame.
McCarthy was a beast. McCarthy had him
What's
snitching.
good? What's good?
Yame.
What's good in Yame, man?
Am I spreading McCarthyism right now?
Yeah. That last show you did was definitely McCarthyistic. What you call it? Freedom or what? Freedom or Red Scare communism? What?
Yeah. The Red Scare. Watch your neighbor. Is your neighbor a communist? Yeah, man.
You people want to be free or you want to be slaves for the
right. Right. Not understanding and that's why I said black people, I don't really believe that we fully understand capitalism. I think we buy into the dream of capitalism, but if we understood that capitalism only has room for 2 to 3%, and Negro, you are not that. When you understand you have to have capital to participate in capitalism. Last time I checked on capitalism, it was a while back, and I was looking at one of the places that stood out was Belgium. And it was talking about, and I couldn't find the numbers on America, so I started to do my research. Okay. But it was talking about, to be a capitalist in Belgium, you need at least $1 million. I forgot what they use, but I'm gonna say dollars. I forgot what they use. What do the Belgians use, Angie? I know you know.
In Belgium they use euros.
Euros, okay. So they were saying that you at least need €1 million. But the average, and this isn't even below average, the average working Belgian only made 200,000 euros a year. So it said even if they saved up their euros and didn't spend anything out of it, it still would be a struggle for them to participate in capitalism to the degree that it would be beneficial.
It's 5 years to get the capital to take your first risk, and if the dice don't roll for you, that's lost for you.
And guess what, Zanzi? That's if you, and they said that's if you don't spend anything out of it. Food, clothing, shelter, bills. So black people have to really look at how capitalism works. We buy into the dream. We turn on the television. We see the Cosby Show and shit. We see all these Negroes running, but we really have to. Do you have the capital to be an investment capitalist, to be a capitalist, to participate? Capitalism is like the game Monopoly. It really is a game, brothers and sisters. And the majority of black people don't have the chips to play the game.
Right.
It's no country for old man.
You remember when we thought Jay-Z was buying the Nets? We was like, oh man, Jay-Z buying the Nets. And what he had, 0.5%?
0.5%. 0.5%.
That's the type of game they were on.
Exactly. Swore he was buying the Nets. But that's the dream they said of Negroes. So now the next generations think they can grow up and buy a team like that. I'm going to work hard and put all my little pennies in the piggy bank. Grow up and buy a sports team. And we spend our whole life chasing these dreams and not being practical. Yes, elitism. But elitism is a part of the American fabric, MD. That's what I'm telling you. And until black people begin to practice a form of elitism, not against one another, but outside groups, then we won't be in a position to compete. We won't practice elitism with one another. We won't elevate one another. We practice escapism and get far away from that Negro as we can.
So you're saying there's no elitism in socialism, in any socialist
no
structure?
I'm saying
in socialism, there's maybe there's no elitism, but there's definitely still classes present
absolutely
in my mind. Communism gets rid of all of that, but then again, communism as the
too
president
much state
also.
control for me though. Communism is too much state control. I don't believe.
No. Whoa, no. Communism gets rid of the state. Socialism is the transition period where the state still exists and where the classes still exist because people are still powerful. But when you get to communism, everything is regulated directly by the community, and the concept of the state is out.
Right. I mean, the saying is that no society has reached the status of communism.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why.
I thought in common. Well, shit, I stand corrected. My understanding in communism, that it does get rid of. I shouldn't have said state, but when I say state, I'm talking about big government. That in communism, the government.
No, there's a consensus. There's a communism.
See, I thought socialism. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zanzi.
Communism is just a more structured form of communitarism, right? Communitarism. So that indicates that can only be reached when society as a whole, when the people have a common goal and a common identity. When that point is reached, then you don't need a state to regulate your economy because you all know what you need. You all know what you're working towards. You all know what you are as a society, as a community, right? And the reason I think we've never been able to reach that is because we can't argue on goddamn borders, right? So right. You always need an army. You always need a state. Because an army is not compatible with communism, in my mind. But again, I'm not completely Marxist. I'm more geared toward communitarism, which is not most likely not possible in our developed world.
Yeah.
That's why we need Mars. Let's start over.
Now you're talking. What's that billionaire's name?
No, wait a minute. I just looked it up, and maybe I'm wrong. The main difference is that under communism, most property and economic resources are owned and controlled by the state rather than individual citizens. Under socialism, all citizens share equally in economic resources as allocated by democratically elected government.
And that definition is from?
Thoughtcode.com, the difference between communism and socialism.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, because when you look
I thought communism was bigger government control. And socialism was, like you said, going towards is a step before communism where we start putting in place the citizens have control through representatives through the state, but they still have more say in the state. Like you said, democratic socialism, where the communist is just state but that's where the corruption comes in, like Russia. That's when the bureaucrats come in. You know what I'm saying? And commonly when the state rose Russia, one of the problems with Russia was they created a whole nother fucking class, a bureaucratic class. You had the state control, then you had the proletariat, then you created this whole bureaucratic class with the paperwork and shit like that. And then,
Okay, but Yanga, you've always talked in the past about, all these systems being corruptible. I mean, that's just human nature, though, right? I mean, you got class. Because look, little it be known, Stalin still had private businesses.
I agree with what MD said. I'm sorry, go ahead again.
No, I agree with what MD is saying too. That's what MD is saying is what damn Saudi Arabia was goddamn doing. with their that's monarchy, but that's a whole nother Islamic.
But that's why he said that totalitarianism can come from communism. But when you're talking about socialism, and especially like what Zenzi was saying, democratic socialism, the people still retain control. They still vote their representatives in.
In Marxism, there's the concept of emancipation, political emancipation, societal emancipation. I have to prepare, but right, communism, socialism, they went through so many iterations.
Yes.
Since Marx, since
and we have to remember we're talking about ideologies. These are all ideologies, but the real world. When we talk about the real world, when we describe capitalism that we live under, it is supposed to incorporate those that own most of the means of production in a society. Like in our society, oil and gas, energy production, food production, health and welfare of the people. Who controls most of that? Those are the capitalists, not someone that just starts a business, but those that control the means of production.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who we're talking about. Like so when we look at American society, we look at who has most of the wealth in the United States. Those are the people that we should focus on, and the only way we can get that control out of their hands, out of that small few, if we begin to work together. Those are the ideas of socialism. That you're not going to be able to buy or borrow your way into gaining those resources. You must work together in a constructive way.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the ideas. You know, we do get caught up in the ideology and in the theories, but we're really looking for the control of resources. And for us to control our own resources. And the best way for us to do that. Go ahead, Blackson.
No. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I need you on Nature Mom's show because we were trying to figure out how the black people went from Reconstruction to nothing to all these prominent cities. Like there's a big gap. And so I'm going to need your information because we need to find a mislink to that. So that's all I want to say, but keep going, Inyame.
No, but that was all I was saying. Yeah, I saw that show. And there's a missing step. Even when we had the resources, they were able to come in and just take it.
Right.
So even the military force is a part of what we're supposed to see capitalism as. That even when it's just like in a game of Monopoly, I start accumulating money, but the other person that holds the bank, they start cheating.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? At some point, you have to fight back.
Lose.
Or lose.
Or
lose. So it's a game of reality. What does it look like in reality?
And you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I please just jump in there real quick because that's a good point. Monopoly is a great thing. So you got one guy that's the bank, and he's cheating. You know, and he has to cheat. He has to cheat subtly, or you're going to know he's cheating. But if all the other players hook together and start lending one another money, you can no longer play the capitalist game the way they're playing it. Now we have to we're all playing Monopoly and we know this guy's cheating. Or you know Yanga's the bank and Yanga's cheating. And you three get together and start sliding $500 bills and 100 bills and helping each other pay the rent when you land on my property. That's the only way you have a shot at beating me. And this is what I'm saying as you know, if I could use it as a comparison to what I talk about economic collectivism or collective economics. You know, playing their game individually like that, and they're the bank and they cheat, you're not going to win.
Damn.
The origin of the game Monopoly comes from a game called Landlords. That's nothing more than the plantation masters. That, and honesty, that's who we're mimicking. Those landlords. The plantation masters were the landlords. And we were the peasants. But when they introduced the game of banking, the banking system game, things began to change. And I don't think we understand how it changed. But those families, those land owning families from the 1800s into the early 1900s are still in power today.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because we have not been able to organize ourselves in such a way and say we're going to get those resources back from them, we play this game. You know, you might have a year where you make good money, or 2, 3 years you make good money. Like, man, I'm on the road up, and then boom,
IRS.
it just yeah. They have control um, different sources of making sure that you never get to that plateau to where we own and control the resources in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the game. That's the game. I haven't really heard a politician even talk about that. Just to take back our community, you need billions, hundreds of billions.
So don't you have any industries in the United States that are state owned?
It depends on the state. Like some states,
Mm-hmm.
they might control the energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in Georgia they control. Don't we have Georgia Power down there, son?
Yeah, Georgia Power.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
So,
but a
but
lot of
do
those
they have
contracts,
competitors
In
or
Ohio,
it's
they have two energy
monopoly?
companies.
yeah. But those contracts usually go to companies that are connected to those in power, like in
Mm-hmm.
the state of
So it's a
Georgia.
cartel. It's not a true,
Yeah.
right? So okay,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
here, when an industry is owned by the government has a monopoly on it. They don't have any competitors.
Wow.
That's the interesting part.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's almost like that here. I can't think of a state run. Oh, is Georgia Power privately owned, MD?
Okay.
Okay, he said Georgia
Okay.
Power is privately owned. Okay, well, I can't think of anything that's state run and that would have a competitor. And Georgia Power just came top of my mind. Yeah, I can't think of anything that is state run. But can I run this down real quick, man? Let me read something because I was just flipping through here on socialism, communism, and we're gonna have a show. So it may, and this is just off. This is just something just top off. I typed in, and I just simply typed in the difference between communism, socialism. It says communism versus socialism. Attribute. The basic philosophy of communism, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. The basic philosophy of socialism, from each according to his ability, to each according to his contribution. Economic plan, uh, central government, ownership of economic resources. In communism, all economic resources are publicly owned and controlled by the government. Individuals hold no personal property or assets. Under socialism, individuals own personal property, but all industrial and production capacity is communally owned and managed by a democratically elected government. Distribution of economic production. Under communism, production is intended to meet all basic human needs and is distributed to the people at no charge.
So the issue I have with those tables, Yanga, is that
Mm-hmm.
right, uh, those concepts in philosophy and sociology and economics, right?
Yeah.
They've been built up for hundreds of years by
Oh, yeah.
different authors, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everything that comes before Marx and Engels, even though it's 99.9% what communism says, that's called communitarism, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and everything after Marx and Engels, it's not called communitarism anymore. It's called communism, right?
Yeah.
And the fact is, Engels was the one talking about the withering of the state,
Yeah.
and some branches of Marxism, basically, because history remembers his name more, but basically went with or without the state. But the withering of the state was not the point at which communism was distinct becoming distinct from socialism, but more the stage at which communism is fully realized, right?
Mm,
The stage
hmm.
as which it's sustainable, it worked, success is achieved, right? Because there is no state anymore. There is
Right.
no one person or group of person in charge of anything. Everything that had to be run by the state before is now agreed to being belonging to the community. Those industries, they don't belong to the state and the
Right.
people running the state. They are, they belong to the concept of a community,
Hmm.
to humans, to member of the society. And some people would say that this is an utopian part of communism. I believe if communism don't strive to reach that, communism is a fad, nothing more.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion.
I think.
And we have to remember the reason I don't like those tables, sorry, is just that the text, if you read the text, if you read what people wrote pertaining to those subjects, it can't be classified in tables. It's
Hmm.
word soups amongst word soups amongst word soups, and very few are the logicians, right? The
Yeah.
philosophers that use logic and that use those word soups to turn them into basically mathematical equation that tried to put, or that have their work recognized
Hmm.
in that subject. But that's definitely what I'm going to try and find for the
Absolutely. Well, I agree with you. I think that, like you said, it's been built on, it's been expounded upon. It's, depending where you look, uh, and who you study and who you're getting it from. However, I think to me, just, one of the things that happened with communism is like what happened to capitalism, the way that America practices. I have an example of horrible capitalism in America. So I can say, and I think Russia gave us a horrible example of allegedly communism in their version of communism. But I haven't seen uh, a real version of African socialism. And where I have seen socialism applied, I have seen it actually be beneficial to the masses of people, especially in areas like healthcare and shit like that.
well
So I think
because
that's why I'm a little biased towards communists. Them European have ruined it for me.
And I think the problem with that is that when, if you look at Marx's works, Karl Marx
Hmm.
work, right? It's mainly the economic side that he's
Yes.
talking about, right? Means of production, money, right? Whilst financial capital. Whilst after that, when socialism becomes more prevalent in the discourse, I think it's when people try to take those economics statements
Hmm.
that are at the core and try to see how would a society works around this kind of
Yes. Yeah.
economy, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you've got a multiplication of the ideas, and most of them failed, be it because the people running the system thought they were outside the system for some
Hmm.
reason, or that they should benefit um, in a different proportion from it, or because, and I think that's one of the biggest issue, and we can go back to I'm not sure. I know about the all the philosophers of ancient Greece thought about those ideas. I'm not sure about how it was uh, in different um, like I'm not as well versed in Asian philosophy that
Hmm.
I am in classical philosophy, but um, the fact that we are at a state where we can't let our neighbors be, right? So if
Hmm.
a part of the world decide to change completely the way they work and isolate themselves from the rest of the world, there's always going to be someone else who wants what they have and who's going to try and get it whatever the way they have to get it, right? So
Hmm.
if you want to control your economy, and the way that you plan your economy doesn't include your neighbor and his needs, then you most likely won't be able to enact your plan properly, right? So I think outside intervention and people trying to separate themselves from right, trying to preach something without living it yourself is never a plan for success, I think.
Mhm.
And I think most example of people trying to implement socialism. I mean, can you think of one leader of a communist society that actually lived through their?
No, no,
Uh,
that's
I would say I'm taking a stab. I would say Fidel, and I would say,
That's the one I was thinking about too, but I don't know enough about him to make that statement.
and I was gonna say
Yeah,
Kim Jong Un, but then I mean Kim Jong Il, but they've got propaganda saying that he had parties and hookers and drank, and so I don't know, because I mean I would see him in that same suit all the time, so I was like, oh, Kim Jong Il, but I don't know.
He lives in a palace. I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why. Yeah, yeah.
it's
yeah, but
a.
when you think about socialism, and I'm kind of going more on the Marxist side of the philosophy,
mhm.
socialism and communism, it comes about because of colonialism and imperialism, and because
Yeah.
of it's what Marx was trying to say. Socialism is the natural reaction
Yeah.
Yes,
when a superpower imposes itself on you. The people will unite. They out of necessity and socialize, their economics to fight back. So when we look at
So
the
the natural.
Chinese Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, they were fighting against the imperialists and the European powers, and they used uh, the Marxist ideology for their revolution. So that's how Marxists saw it. He saw it as a natural progression. That if you're fighting against an imperial or colonialist power, you must use the means of socialism
yeah.
to
So
to to fight back.
would you think that saying that the natural state of humanity is communitarism, that capitalism tried to change that, and communism would be the answer to try to revert back to a more natural state?
I would, I
I
would.
believe is it depends on the society.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe communalism is more of a natural state. I believe capitalism is imploded. I believe as Marx believed in, like you were talking about the philosophers. When you go all the way back to Hegel and go all the way back, I don't know, I'm not pronouncing his name right. Herculitus, when they talk about this dialectics, and when Marx applied dialectics to the capitalist system, it proved that it would consume itself. It would consume the world. It is about consumption. He said that, Marx, paraphrasing in so many words, said that capitalism can't sustain itself. It can't sustain the world. It is a consumptuous system with no regulation and not taking human consideration as a factor. You know what I'm saying?
right. It
The
really is
continuation of the human being as its primary factor.
right. It really is when you just look at a numbers game. It's not natural. You cannot always
Yeah,
turn a profit.
right.
I mean,
Especially,
the world doesn't operate. I'm talking naturally, where you
mhm,
always turn a profit, where there's always some type of profit. You have seasons where you make. You have seasons when you have to plant, and it's during those different seasons that you have to have a planned economy. Because the
yep,
United States is a mixed economy. If you really
Right.
look at it, it's a
That's
mixed
right.
economy. When the money is plentiful, the government doesn't put so many. They don't have so many programs because the economy is good. When it starts to shrink and you're in recession and people are starving, then the government steps in and starts to use the ideas of socialism. Because, like I was saying before, you can't always turn a profit. It's not
right.
reasonable.
Right.
It's not feasible. Just like our money.
So
every month we don't make more money every month. Some months we make good money, some months we make low money, and we have to make those adjustments as we go.
so I have a question for you, following from that, right? Because from what I understand, communism is not about we have to always make a profit. My thinking is that if it was just that, it might work. The problem is that communism states we always have to make a bigger profit, right?
So you say
So
capitalism or communism?
capitalism.
Okay.
So
Okay.
since capitalism always needs to make a bigger profit, right? A company, right, that has a yearly revenue of 1 million, right? If 3 years later, if its revenue is still 1 million, this company is not growing. This
Right.
company
Right.
that's not success, right? And that's why I'm so interested in the Greek philosopher Plato, right? Because Socrates, in one of his dialogues, right, named it in ancient Greece. This concept, he called it planesias, right? The need for more. We always need more, right? You maybe you could be sustainable if you would be content with sustaining something at some level, but you always need more, you always need to increase. And that part is problematic in my mind, right? if
Right.
if
Right.
if we found a way to divide all resources so that everybody would turn a little profit each year and manage to get something out of this earth, right? Maybe that could work. But if you keep asking more and more and more, what happens the day when you cross that threshold where you took everything it could produce in a year, right? At that point, are you not content, or you have to find a way to extract even more than it can possibly produce?
Right. Right. That's where you hear they say capitalism isn't sustainable.
Right.
You can't sustain it for another 100 years because it's this insatiable quest for more and more and more
Yeah,
until
it's consumptuous.
yeah.
Until there's nothing. It's almost like, and I think, okay, and I always think, listen, y'all, it's about time for me to wind it down anyway, man. You know, everybody stepped in. Uh, but I think one of the things that happens with damn, like Zanzi was saying earlier, you know, when people are oppressed, people will revolt, people will uprise. We look at American capitalism, but we don't even, especially black people, because we don't think outside of America. We don't even look at how capitalism internationally is called imperialism, and how other countries are rising up. You look at Bangladesh. I don't know if we still deal with Bangladesh, but the infant due to imperialism and the sapping of resources out of Bangladesh and the greed of the corporations and the way they work them people, the infant mortality rate was one of the highest on the planet. And this was directly linked to imperialism, to the corporations, what child labor, bad, no insurance for the workers. Just know this is your capitalism in the form of imperialism. This is individualism. It has turned black people off from a humanitarian perspective, and not just from the world, but from one another. Like I said, I don't think we really understand capitalism. And I see you still got that thing up there, son. I know you so pro-capitalist and want to find to this thing that communalism don't work. I would disagree with MD20. I would
So
totally disagree with that statement. I think communalism could work over here if black people practice it. If we spent collectively, communalism simply means moving as a community, as a collective. It's when we buy into the dream.
so how many souls do you think has been sacrificed so that you can hold your smartphones in your hand?
I mean, that's a good point.
5,
So
10 may make it. What's the percentage of those making it? So that's what I mean. They have you chasing this dream instead of investing in something that could actually be practical and tangible. The chances of you actually making it to be a capitalist and not just a participator in the capitalist system, but to really benefit and be a capitalist are far to zero.
All right. Well, I got a challenge for everybody. Not only do because we're gonna close it out. I want to come back here. I want to deal with the because I'm ready. I'm ready to deal with the whole Medicaid system in Canada. I'm ready to deal with that. And then number two, second assignment. Actually, this is going to be the second assignment coming back with Zanzi. Then I want to deal with Nature Mom. Like, how did they go from nothing to all this prominent city? What was in between? I wanna debate that. I wanna, or at least discuss that. It may
What do
not.
you mean? Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch the other show.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Okay.
Yami seen that show. And Yami, I want you back on that show because we trying to figure this thing out. And I'm coming as an unbiased as I can on that show because I don't know what it is. They said they wiped now. Nature Made said they wiped out that history. They just know they went from sharecropping to a more prominent, like they outdid the white man. So we got to find this missing puzzle. So
It's in there. I believe it can be found.
No, we gonna find it. We gonna find it.
And one of the ways I believed that it was done, and I'm gonna look and find it.
Okay.
It was white people didn't fool with us. It's that simple. We couldn't do nothing but build up.
I agree with that. We established that, but what economical structure was it? Because
it doesn't matter what it. I mean,
no,
it could have been. It could have been. It was capitalism in a communal form. Why was it communalism? Because we had to deal with one another. But the only system we really understand that we live in is a capitalist system. But due to the racism, due to discrimination, we were forced to deal with one another.
MD said, okay, thanks, MD. MD said it was fusionism. Fusionism.
All right, he's going to have to prove that.
Are you hear that, MD? So, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
He's going to have to bring it. We can, all of that sound good.
Okay, so.
All of that sound good. Like from everyone he says that he thinks he can show with buying from us, I can show where they were stealing from us. I can show where we were intentionally. Hell, this is what I want to say about the Mississippi campaign too. Hell, black farmers just a few years ago were being discriminated against by the state.
Okay, but
we don't remember the black farmer thing. I think what you guys are pushing. I'm not talking about. I see you next week too, MD. I don't think. Like, I'm not talking about the Mississippi campaign. I think that is some good, solid stuff in that. But I think a lot of what people push when pushing capitalism and complete inclusion in the system like that is utopic.
But, you know what? All right, everybody, let's get the lineup. So we're going to come back to Zanzi's show. We're going to get with the Medicaid part. We're going to go to dang Nature Made. We're going to deal with this fusionism. So I expect to see you there, MD. I expect to see you there in Yame, Yanga, of course. Now, if you want to come to that show, Zanzi, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Nature Mom is on Thursdays, right?
She's on. What day is she on?
Oh shit! I want my own show. Can we accomplish these goals without revolution?
I mean,
I don't believe in reform anymore. We don't have the attention span for reform as a society. I don't believe.
Well, yeah, I know I'm a revolutionary, so okay. You know where I stand on.
Well, I'm gonna have to balance this thing. Okay, so she's on Saturday. She's on Saturday.
Saturday, I'll be able to be there then.
Yeah, okay, so great.
Next Saturday, that's coming, right?
Yeah. This Saturday coming up. Now, this is to Trevor. Trevor, what we're gonna do, because he said he's not getting notifications, and I get it. YouTube is shadow banning the hottest show on the internet. So we're gonna do a constant. Trevor, this is to you. We're either going to come on either at 5 or 6. 5 or 6. That's going to be the constant. So no matter what, you don't get no notification. Come in here around 5 or 6 and just check on this, and we will come around 5. And
that's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it. We plan on. I tried to reach out to Commissioner Solar today. I wasn't able to reach him. So I'm gonna try back again later. But I think are we going to do that Champions Corner on Tuesday or something?
Yeah, that's your day, Yanga. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your
too.
day.
And I want to invite the commissioners out.
Okay.
I want to invite the commissioners to the panel. So I'm going to work on that, brother Trevor. And yo, let me send shouts out to Deacon of Reality. I didn't even know Deacon had a channel. Y'all subscribe to Deacon's channel. I'm about to go subscribe and check out Deacon's channel and stuff like that, man. Y'all check it out. We support one another. This is how communalism.
Nice shot there. All right,
Thank you.
So this is a Trevor again, because I know he's not in the Given Soul location, and this is for everybody. 5 and 6 are the times. So Zanzi, because so Zanzi, what? 5
6.
and 6.
I'll remember now. 6.
Okay, 6. Okay, so 6, and then I believe Nature Mom said 6 too, and then Yanga definitely he's saying 6 too, right? So 6 across the board. That way y'all don't get no notifications, man.
Yeah.
Y'all just come in here and be like, okay, I know 6 o'clock is good because, like I said, and I don't know if you're still in the chat, Trevor, but yeah, just because I feel bad you're not getting the notifications. He keep coming late and he'll miss the show and say, damn, I missed another show. So Trevor, this is for you. 6 o'clock across the board every day, whatever day it is, 6 o'clock across the board. We're gonna keep it 6 o'clock, even with Nature Mom show. Let me. Just 6 o'clock across the board. I'm gonna just put out because I think Nature Mom said that what time was good for her. So we'll work that. We'll work that. So
well, listen, brother, I'm out. You know, we're going on our 2 hours and a half, man.
Yeah, man. Damn. Yeah, we way over, y'all. We way over. So hey, next week on Zanzi's show, we're gonna deal with the Canadian Medicare. You know, the socialized Medicare. We're gonna deal with that.
We got anything cracking for tomorrow? What do we got cracking for tomorrow?
It's tomorrow, Monday.
Yeah. We'll think of something.
Okay.
We'll think of something.
Yeah, man. You want to do a show on Monday, man? What's up, man?
Can't do it Monday.
Can't do. Okay, well, that's cool. I mean, you know, we got a free slot, man. We got a free slot.
We got, you know, anybody who deals with the ring want to do a show. If not, we may have to throw up one of our old ones. I'm constantly trying to encourage some to do, but we may come up with a show. Listen, you guys, it's been great as always. MD, I can't wait. I love having you on the panel, man. And appreciate the chat. Everybody, feedback in the chat, man. This is what makes this thing work. And everybody on the panel, Zanzi, it's always a pleasure. Listen, I always come on looking to talk to you about one thing, and we go everywhere. I still haven't had an opportunity to talk to you about the First Nation.
I've got my presentation ready. I mean, if you want to do that tomorrow or on
Can
6,
you do it tomorrow?
Can you do it? It's on you.
If
Let's do it tomorrow.
You ain't said nothing but things.
Yeah.
You ain't said
Let's do it tomorrow, bro. Man, I've been really trying to, you know, but you know how the arena get out. We get on here, man, we get to talking. So I'm gonna go, man. I've been holding everyone up. I've been on here past my time.
So tomorrow, y'all. Tomorrow,
6 o'clock. Yeah, man, it's good to always, brother. I'm glad when you're able to jump on the panel, man, and share that insight and stuff, man. Y'all check out the link. Check out my man Deacon. Y'all check out the link. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the arena. Put the message out there. You know, there's really no place that's gonna. We're trying to step the game up. We're trying to elevate it, man. We're trying to bring all types of discussion and all types of people in on the platform. So, yo, this is your station.
Real quick, Yanga, you got that special guest. Did you confirm that special guest?
That might be in a minute, man. You're so excited about that. That might be in a minute. I'm gonna have to work on it.
We're gonna have to get some good old fashioned patriots on this goddamn show.
Hey, man, that is going to be an interesting show. That was an interesting person I had met, and so it's going to be an interesting show. Should I be able to get that individual on here? But I have so many guests lined up, man. I have. We're talking about socialists. I have one of my mentors. That was a student under Sekou Toure, not Sekou Toure, Kwame Toure. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting Stokely's name. Kwame Toure, brother Zizwe. I'm gonna try to get Zizwe on. He can break down that African socialism and NKrumism like you wouldn't believe. And just so be looking for a lot more guests, from political to social to cultural. I'm gonna try to get Samantha on one of those fitness Fridays that we have, you know, to talk about health and stuff like that, you know, and her vegan. Son, I know you love that, you being a vegan. So having somebody on y'all can share and swap out. So just look for great things to come from the channel, man. And like I'm telling the people, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss out.
Oh, yeah.
Great variety of subjects with different perspectives. You can't ask anything more when looking for truth and information.
Say we're not a monolithic people. You got to love the diversity.
Exactly.
All right, y'all. Well, it's 2:33. Yanga, Zanzi, Inyame, the chat, man, MD, Deacon, man. If I missed anybody, to everybody, man, and everybody in the clouds, see y'all tomorrow.
All right.
We out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.